This is the, okay, so this is the effect of the break. I think I forgot the recording part. Okay, so we have seen this basics of programming. We have seen the selection statements, and we have seen all three types of loops. We have also seen examples, and in the lab you have done exercises where you required nested loops. What we are going to do in this week predominantly is deal with arrays. We are going to start with one-dimensional arrays, and in particular in today's class we'll focus on integer arrays. We'll do some interesting stuff using that, which you all will also be invested in, and then we will move to character arrays. Eventually we will look at multidimensional arrays as well. And then we will see that as we deal with bigger and bigger things and write bigger programs, we will need modularization of code. So we will have to introduce ways to modularize code where we'll move to functions, but that will of course be in the weeks later. But this week we will be dealing with one-dimensional arrays in C. Okay, so what is our motivation to look at these arrays? We have already seen simple things, simple tasks that can be achieved without arrays. And there were instances, for example, when you were asked to find the maximum of a given set of integers or marks or something, you were asking whether I can store it in an array. And we said that in fact, you should not store it in an array because at that time it was not required. We are now going to see examples where we will need arrays, how to use them, and where does it make sense to have arrays. So some example problems that we will be dealing with are given the marks obtained by students in the class. In fact, we will take the real life example of your quiz 1 marks. We want to print a histogram. All of you are interested in the statistics of the quiz 1, and we'll print the statistics, and we'll print in particular we'll print the histogram. The second problem is something which is in a slightly different domain, but which will again introduce and expose us to not only the programming aspects, but also of the design of the program aspects, which you have seen when writing the program for the computing GCD of two positive integers. So this is this task or problem asks us to evaluate a polynomial. This polynomial is of this abstract form, which is a0 plus a1 x plus a2 x squared and so on. So I'm sorry, I should have written a2 x squared and so on. It is not a2 x2, it is a2 x squared plus a3 x cubed and so on. I'll correct this in the slide. This is what we want to evaluate. What are we given? We are given the values a0, a1, a2 up to an, and the value of the variable x. You want to evaluate the polynomial at that variable x. So this is our task that we will look at in today's class. The third is encrypt decrypt messages. For this we will require to define character arrays, which mostly we won't be doing in today's class, but we'll come to it in the next class. So these are the tasks that we want to solve, or we want to write programs for. Okay, so before we get into these tasks, let's get to the basics of arrays. Let's define arrays in C. So arrays allow us to store several elements of the same type. So suppose we are interested in storing 100 integers or 1000 characters, or X number of floats, some large number of floats. We can of course define 1000 integer variables or 100 integer variables, how many ever we require. It is a tedious process. It takes up space in writing the code, as well as you will have to have variable names for every variable. So if you have 100 integers, you will have to have 100 variable names. Instead, we have a way to define several elements of the same type using what is called as an array. So the declaration that you will have for an array is of the following type. That is, you will have the data type, which can be either int, char, float, or going forward, we will also define user-defined data types, but here is how you're going to have the basic data types. Then the name of the array, which is a variable name, which will again have the same rules that we have for a variable name. Then there are these square brackets, and in this square brackets, there will be an integer which tells you what is the array size. So this is how you are going to declare an array in C. This tells that just like when we said int x, it is telling the compiler that have a box for this variable, which is, or memory box, which will be named as x, and give it the storage which is appropriate for the data type. Similarly, this is going to tell the compiler that you are going to define so many variables. So many is the size many variables, array size many variables of this data type, and they are stored in a particular way, which we'll come to it in a minute. So this is how you are going to declare an array. And a concrete example of this is int marks, which is an array of size 7. So this square brackets is something which tells that this is an array, and this variable is called marks, and which says that there are 7 integers which are defined, and there are 7 integers which are stored. You have place to store 7 integers. Similarly, you can have a character array where this name is a character array. Score is an array which has 1000 entries, and each of them is of type float. So with this one statement that you have defined, that is float score 1000 with a semicolon, and of course the appropriate square braces, you have defined 1000 variables, and we'll see how to access them as we go along. So this is how the picture in memory looks like, which is on the right hand side. So let's say if you had defined this is for the first declaration that I have given, that is integer marks, which is an array of size 7. So whenever you have arrays in C, the first index, or the indexing of the array starts with 0, and you will have the first integer stored, because this is an integer array. The first integer stored at index, what we will call as the 0th index, which contains 22. How did this 22 come in? Because somebody has initialized this, and so on. We will come to initialization, but then there are 7 places indexed from 0, 1, 2 all the way up to 6. So there are these 7 places. Each of it is a cell which can hold an integer variable. And why is it an integer? Because we have said that this is an integer array. So this is how the picture in memory looks like. Of course, this statement int marks 7 is just giving these 7 cells indexed from 0 to 6, and it is not initializing these with these appropriate values, but just to illustrate, these values have been given. In fact, the value of marks 2 is 75 according to this initialization. If you execute this statement, that is marks of 3 is equal to 36, then the place, that is the 4th index, or 0, 1, 2, 3, this place is going to get changed, and it will get the value of 36. So this is how you are going to define an array in C, and the way you are going to access this variable, which is present at this third cell, is going to be using marks of 2, which we say 2 is the index into the array. So the index of the array starts with 0 and ends with the size -1. This is how arrays are, this is how these indices are given in C. So any questions in this basic part about defining arrays?
Ma'am, is there any negative numbering of the array elements, like -7, -6, -5?
So, okay, whether you are asking whether these values can be negative, this 22, 15 and so on?
No, ma'am, the numbering of the elements, like instead of 0, 1, 2, 3, Can it be -7, -6, -5 like it was in
It,
uh,
it can come in at the moment. We will say that I mean this is the first class of arrays. At this moment, we will when we come to pointers, yes, we can actually have negative indices and in up and access. So suppose I mean I'm just saying this for people who have seen pointers. If you are at this location, I don't know if my pointer is visible. So whoever asked the question, is it visible? Uh, if it is at the fourth index, then the previous index, which is the third index, is -1. The further previous index is at -2, and so on. So you can have negative indices, but at the moment we'll just say that. So if you are pointing, if you are at this place, which is relative, I mean 0,
Yeah.
then everything should start with 0 and have a positive value. Does that answer your
Okay.
question?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So there can be negative values. So when we come to pointers, we will be able to use negative values. Any other question? Okay. So the important things to note about an array are that all the elements of the array are of the same type. So you cannot have an array which has few characters, few integers and so on. That is not allowed. If you need to have something like that, we will come to it. Of course, we have to define a structure and then array of structures, but you cannot have certain number of things of this integer type and a remaining of the character or float type and so on. So you have to have all the elements of the same type. The number of elements is finite and fixed. So this is a finite array and it is fixed. It cannot change at runtime. Again, there are small caveats to this, but arrays are fixed and finite at compile time. That is, you are telling the compiler that my array will contain 100 elements, 1000 elements or whatever, and this number will not be exceeded. So if you don't know the number, you overestimate it and do it, but at runtime, given this standard definition, you are not going to be adding things to it. There are other ways to change the size of the array, but at this moment this is going to be finite and fixed, and this finite and fixed number is defined by this array size that we are telling in this square braces. Okay, so as we said, elements are stored in this contiguous memory location. So if you have an array which is marks, which has 5 elements, this is the array size. All these blue cells are the part of this array. Then these are stored together in contiguous memory locations, and that allows you to access the elements of this array using marks 0, marks 1, marks 2, marks 3, marks 4, and so on. Unlike this variable sum, which is a variable which can be stored at anywhere relative to this variable marks that is stored, or variable array marks that is stored in the memory. So this is something that is important, that array elements are stored in contiguous memory locations. So any questions or comments here?
And what about some, ma'am?
Yes.
Some variable which was alone. Like what is it? What is this actually?
So yeah, suppose your program has a variable which is called int sum. I don't know what is, I mean, I have just given an integer value here, but it could as well be float. So it gets some place in the memory location. What I'm trying to say in this picture is that it need not be contiguous with the array. It may be or it may not be. But if you have an array of size 5, which is an integer array, then there are 5 integers that you have defined implicitly. It means that our marks of 0 is stored at some place. Just after that, marks of 1 is going to be stored. Just after that, marks of 2 is going to be stored. And how far away is marks of 1 from marks of 0? That depends on the size of int. So how many bytes are given here for this marks of 0? This is defined by the size of int on your machine, right? So it is typically 4 bytes. So you're going to have 4 bytes here. Does that answer your question? So sum is some variable that is defined in the program. It need not be contiguous to your other variables. That's what it is telling.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. Any other question or comment? Okay. So the different ways of initializing an array are as follows. So in fact, you can at places where you are sure that you are initializing the array, you can omit the size of the array in this braces and just say int count empty braces is equal to 10, 23, 50. It means that there are three variables. Count of 0 is equal to 10, count of or array of size 3, count of 0 is equal to 10, count of 1 is equal to 23, and count of 2 is equal to 50. This is how this what means, or what is the implication of this statement. The other way of initializing is that it says int count, which is int count 10, which means that count is an array of size 10, and each of the elements is an integer. And when you say 0, it says that the count 0 integer is explicitly initialized to 0, whatever is given here. If you say empty entries, then if you say fewer entries than whatever is the size of the array, it will actually initialize all the remaining entries to be 0. So if you would have said int count 10 is equal to 5, it doesn't mean that the whole array is initialized with 5. It says that count of 0 is initialized with 5. The remaining entries are initialized with 0. So again, this thing is something that if you want to initialize everything with 5, you have to write 10 5s in this manner here, the way it is written. Otherwise, it will initialize the remaining things with zeros. So this is something that you keep in mind. In fact, initialization in this way is rare because your arrays are typically of large sizes, and you are going to use a loop to initialize the elements of the array rather than using this explicit initialization. But an important thing that one forgets is typically to initialize the elements of the array, and that leads to some errors in the behavior of your program. So you have to be just like the way you have seen in quiz 1 question that you did that prod which was not initialized, that you have observed, all of you, then it would not compute whatever to the power n was given to you. Similarly, in forgetting to initialize elements of the array will lead to incorrect behavior in the program. So any questions here or anything here that you want to ask? Okay, so before we go, so the next thing that comes up on the slide is the histogram of marks. Before we go there, I'm going to change my this thing and go to REPL.IT and show you a few things that maybe you know but are useful to emphasize. Just a minute. So Kaushal, will you please tell me whether you can see my browser, and I'll just go to my REPL.IT.
Yes, ma'am. I can see your browser.
Okay, so you can see REPL.IT, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what I have done here is okay. So this is a simple, very simple program which says I have defined two variables, integer x, integer y. I could have done the definition on the same line. I have also defined an integer array, an array which is called ARR, and it has size 10. And again, I have used this initialization that I have shown here. Actually, I can also do this to show you this. And then let's read these statements. These are slightly new statements that I have written. So let's read this line 7. So Kaushal, just tell me, is the font visible and is it readable from
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So the line 7 says printf percent %p. So we have not used percent %p till now. Percent %p is for pointers, and we are not printing the value of x. In fact, we have not initialized x. So if we print out the value of x by doing percent %d, we'll possibly get some garbage, which we are not interested in. But we are interested in, so this AND operator you are now familiar with. You have used it several times with scanf. So what we are telling is, print out what is the address of x. Rather than telling me what is inside this cell x, what is the address of x. Similarly, print out what is the address of y. Similarly, print out what is the, actually I should say, I'll just write this as AND array. And I will also write this as, and please note that this is not percent %p, this is our regular percent %d. So the line 11 now has printf percent %d, whatever is the value of this array 1. So these are, I mean, I want you to observe that these three statements are different. They are printing out the address of these variables and not the values of these variables. This is our regular statement, which will print out the value which is present in the array location 1. Remember that array locations start with 0. So ARR of 0 is initialized to 5 and ARR of 1 is not initialized or implicitly initialized to 0. So this is how the program should execute. So the only thing that I can tell from here is that this should print out to 0, the line 11. The remaining lines I don't know, and we will see what will be the output. So before I run the program, are there any questions? Okay, so I am assuming that there are no questions. I'll just compile this. It's called array address. Okay, so I think I'm not in the directory. Okay. So now I have moved to the directory in which I have stored these programs. So this program is called as array address. So I'm going to compile it, and of course it has this regular error that you all are used to. I am bad at writing this int main and return 0. So you're all familiar with that. And now we'll run this program. So observe that this there are 4 printf values, and the only promised value that I had promised is this printf, which is 0, which is correct. These are not in my, I mean, I cannot predict these values. What I'm trying to illustrate is that these are giving us the addresses of these cells or variables that are given these addresses. So how does one read this? This is an hexadecimal address, and I mean, all of this remains the same, except that these last parts, these are some things that you'll see. In fact, if you just stare at these values carefully, you will see that, okay, so this is D8, then 9, 10, not 9, A, B. So these are the ones that are assigned to this variable X. And then you see that the next contiguous location is given to Y. This is happening in this program, but this may or may not happen in general. Then after this, you are given this address of this array ARR, that is the starting position of this array. And what would be interesting is to print out, in fact, not the addresses of X, Y, and this thing, but print out the addresses of array 0, array 1, array 2, and so on, which I am going to do. So
Hello, ma'am.
yes.
Ma'am, isn't ARR itself is a pointer? I mean, just ARR.
Yeah, so that is
Then
true.
what is
At the
then
yeah,
we have
but
written and ARR.
that's okay. ARR and ARR are going to give us the same value in this case because ARR itself is a pointer. Okay, so just hold on. So okay, so sorry, I wrote a %d. That is why this is the error, %p. Okay, so yeah, so what I want you to observe is the following, that now I am printing the address of the first element of the array, which is ARR of 0, and I am printing its address, and then I am printing the address of the first 0th element and the first element, that which is 0th indexed element and the first indexed element, which is first and second respectively, and you will see that they are 4 apart because this is the size of int, and that is why they are 4 apart. In fact, you can also print out what is the size of the array and what do you expect it to be. Can anybody say? So you have used this, you use size of in the very early classes, printf %ld, and if I write here size of, okay, I'm sorry about this. Yeah, so what do you expect this to be?
40.
40, which is because it is the size of, it is the number of elements in the array into the size of int. So that is what you will expect this program to give out, and we'll again see that this, yeah. So this is, I mean, this 40 is just because the size of integer happens to be 4 here, and there are 10 elements in the array. Therefore, the size of this array is 40. So there are 40 bytes which are given to this array, and these 40 bytes are in contiguous location. The first 4 bytes are given for the first element and next 4 for the second, and so on. So this is what I wanted to illustrate. I also wanted us to know that there is a way to print out the addresses of the elements, addresses of the variables, which can be done using the ampersand, which we are familiar with by now. So are there any questions about this? So at the moment, ignore my first statement, which was AND of ARR. We'll just take ARR of 0, which is the first element of the array, and print its address, which is AND of ARR 0. Okay, any questions, comments here? Okay, so we'll go back to our slides where we were looking at the computing the histogram. I need to change the sharing. Okay, yeah, Kaushal, you are able to see the slides?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. So with this, we know how to define a basic array, integer array in C. We also know how to access the elements of the array. And just like you modify variables using an assignment statement, you are going to change the variables of the contents of an array by accessing that variable. Okay, so let me just state the problem, and we'll slowly develop the program to compute the histogram of marks. So what does the histogram of marks mean for you? I mean, so let's say we want to print the histogram of the marks for quiz 1. So what does it mean for all of us? So I am not sure if you are writing anything. In the chat messages, I am not looking at them. So, so one question is, why are people writing their roll numbers in the chat? So can somebody tell me? So I see lot of roll numbers being written in the chat. Is there any reason?
Attendance, ma'am.
But are we doing this attendance in this way earlier? I mean, I am not sure. Are you writing every time like this? So no, I don't think we have been taking attendance in this way. So Cisco WebEx is recording the attendance already. You don't have to record, you don't have to write down, because I see messages which are coming up which do not have anything but the roll number, and I was quite
Everybody forgot after 10 days of holidays.
sorry.
I think everybody forgot about after 10 days of holidays.
Okay, sure. So please do not write the roll numbers because it keeps popping up and I don't know what to see. I mean, only roll number is coming up, so I don't know. So please don't write the roll number. The attendance is auto recorded. In fact, everything is recorded. How long you were there, when did you leave the meeting, and so on. So don't write your attendance here. This is not yeah. So we are not going to do this for this class. Okay, so there is one question. What was the %p for? So %p is for pointer or for the address of the variable. We have not introduced pointers, but you already know that and of the ampersand allows you to get the address of that variable, because scanf requires the address. And if you want to know where is this in memory, it is going to be that %p will allow you to print the address. So %p is for pointer. And one more thing that I did not do explicitly, but if you run the same program multiple times, you are not necessarily going to get the same addresses, because the memory the program is going to be located at different places, and therefore different cells may be given at different points in time. However, if you have an array of size 10, then wherever you start, you are going to get 10 contiguous locations. That is all you can commit about the program. You cannot say that you are going to get the same output unlike other programs that you have. So when dealing with pointers, if you are printing out addresses, you cannot say something about the address. So please try out that program when you have a chance and run it multiple times and see that in fact you are getting multiple addresses. Multiple in the sense different addresses. Okay, so somebody has written that histogram is used to compute the number of elements in some ranges of data. That is correct. So we are in fact going to do this. So we are going to make some simplifying assumptions for our quiz, which yeah. So what we want to do is we have done the grading for the quiz 1, and we want to know at a particular mark how many students are there. Of course, there are these fractional marks that we have given, but we will do some simplifying assumptions. So we will assume that the test, in fact, the test was indeed for 20 marks. There are only integer scores, so we'll round our scores, and there is no negative marking. That is also true. So we have 20 different scores that are possible. So we would like to use an array of size 20, and we want to record how many students got a particular mark. So is there anything else that we would like to store or we will need to store? So okay, what is the input required? What is the output of this program? So take a minute to think about it. What we want is we want to know that how many students are there at a particular mark, and then we want to print that number and print a histogram. In fact, it would be nice to print a plot or something, but at the moment, at least know how many students are there at a particular mark. So I want you to tell me what are the inputs to this program and what is the output of this program. So please take a minute to think about it and tell me in the chat messages what is the input and output. So I don't see anybody writing. Okay. Yeah, so Shashank has written something. Okay. Input you have written, Shashank. What is the output? Okay, so again, Siddharth, right? Do not please give attendance here. If you have forgotten, we are not taking the attendance on this chat. Yeah. Okay. So Shashank, yeah, your input output are fine. Okay, so input is marks of students. So marks of how many students? So input should be the marks of all the students, right? So we have to have a way to input the marks of all the students, possibly run a loop. And in your case, it's a large class. We will have to run a loop which runs from 1 to the number of students in this class, which is 184. And what is the size of the output? In the sense, what you are saying histogram, or that is a slightly abstract thing. So can somebody say? Okay, so one of you has said that that the output is a frequency of marks. That is correct. So the output size is much smaller than the input size. The input size has possibly 184 entries. That is, you'll have to enter 184 things, which are the marks of the students. The output size is going to be only of size 20 or 21, depending on what are your ranges, but it is going to be from 1 to 20 or 0 to 20. So that is what is going to be your output size. For each of these values 0, 1, 2, we will need to have a number which tells how many students have how many students have got those marks in the exam, right? So this is what is the input and the output for the program. So so one thing is, what are the different arrays that we will need to use for this program, for writing this program?
Ma'am?
Yes.
So can we use one array for representing the number of students who got each mark? Like, should we do that, or what should we do?
No, so it is a design choice that you have to do.
Okay.
Okay, so I don't know, I'm repeating this. Please do not give out your attendance in this chat messages. We have not been doing that. I don't know, maybe in other classes you're doing it. So, okay. So one of you has said that we need an array of size 184 to store the marks, and an array of size 20 to store the number of students who have achieved some marks, achieved the particular set of marks. The question that I want to ask is, do we need to store the 184 marks? In fact, if we just want to print out the number of students who have achieved these marks, there is no need to have an array of size 184 to store the marks. Just like when you wanted to compute the maximum, you did not need to store the elements to compute the maximum. You don't have to store those 184 marks. Once you get a mark, you just need to appropriately change some variable to note that for this mark, I have seen one more student, and so on. Right, so this is something that is important for us to note. So we are going to use an array of size not 20 but 21. Why? Because 0 is also a valid mark, and therefore you are going to have an array of size 21, which will be from 0 to 20. And you'll have an array of size 21 which will be indexed from 0 to 20, where array of I, or whatever you are going to call it, will store the number of students that have obtained the mark I in this exam, right? So what I have done here is I have written a template. I have written the main parts of the loop, and you have to write in code here. So let's read this program. So there are some new parts that I'm again introducing. So this include stdio.h, main, etc. is well known. we are defining this constant integer max marks, which is equal to 20. This is like an integer, but it is saying that this is a constant which will not be, this won't be modified. So this is a constant integer, and this I have initialized to 20. In fact, we are, yeah, so given this, this is the maximum marks. Whenever we have this, the max marks, we are going to define an array, which is marks count array, which I have defined, which will have max marks plus 1. Instead, you could have defined this itself as being 21 and then have the array having the same size as this, but I have just had that this is the maximum marks, and the number of students is 184 in our class. Therefore, I have initialized this to 184. So these are two new things. That is, I mean, this is one new thing which we are saying, that there is a constant integer that we have defined. Then we have the regular int I and current marks. We are going to take from the user the current marks. In current marks, the user is going to enter it using the console, and once the user enters it, you are going to do something so that at the end of it, marks count of I contains the number of students who have got marks, who have got I marks in that exam. Right, so this is what you have to write code here in line 11, 12, or how many ever you want to write. So this loop runs from 1 to number of students, and you have to enter 184 things, and it keeps processing them. Okay, so while all of you try to fill in this code, please try to fill in this code in your notebooks or text editors, wherever you are comfortable. Please write your answers in chat once you are done. Till then, I'll read the chat messages that you have sent me. Okay, so Karthik, I do not know what is the question about instead of max marks. So this max marks, I do not know what is instead of max marks, what you are saying. But if so, Adit, your thing is fine. I think we are doing exactly what you have suggested. Karthik, I am not sure what is your suggestion.
Ma'am?
Yes.
Can we initialize something to this array before this fill in your code thing?
Can you repeat?
No, can we initialize some like a value 0 to the array, ma'am, before this?
Sure, you can do that. In fact, you should do it. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Good observation. Kannikeshwar, right? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So one of you has said marks count of I plus plus. So here, if you write marks count of I plus plus, note that I is running from 1 to num students, right? So if you take, so I is going to be 1, 2, 3 up to 184, whereas marks count is an array which is having indices only from 0 to 20. So this clearly will not do, and it is, of course, it is not going to achieve what you wanted. So marks count of I plus plus is not correct. Marks count of current marks plus plus is correct, and that will increment the increment these things correctly. Do we consider fractional values of marks? No. So already we made the assumption that all our marks are integers. So we are only going to input integers in this. So what I have done is, whatever was your suggestion, I have just added this into the line 11, that is marks count of current marks plus plus. However, as observed by Kannikeshwar earlier, that the initialization of marks count is missing. So here you can actually say is equal to 0, 0, 0, 20 times, or you can even say 1, 0, and then it will get initialized to initialize, the remaining values will also get initialized to 0, but do not leave it to implicit. I mean, do not leave it that if it is not initialized, everything will get initialized to 0. That does not necessarily happen. So do not rely on that fact that if you do not initialize a variable, it will be set to 0. So do not do that. That will lead to erroneous output. So yeah, so this program is more or less correct. However, there is a problem if the user enters marks which are outside range. So while the user is still, we are assuming that the user is still going to enter integers, but let's say that while you are entering this, you type out something which is by mistake you type 23 instead of typing 2 enter, 3 enter, and so on. You type out 23 in the hurry. What will be the behavior of this program? What do you expect? Is the question clear? So remember that there is a scanf. In fact, you are asking 184 entries to be entered. This is a very, very tedious and boring job. So whoever is entering this is bound to make errors. So therefore, if there is an error, and whenever you are taking data from the user, it is better to validate data and make sure that your program doesn't suffer because of incorrect this thing. So therefore, you must validate data. So a user may erroneously or just to stress test your program may give erroneous inputs or undesired inputs. So yeah, so Akhil, right? You are saying that it will be an error as input is outside the size, junk is displayed. Where is the junk displayed? I mean, first of all, this program is not displaying anything, right? So it is computing in marks count the frequency of the frequency, that is the number of times this marks has occurred, but it is not displaying anything. So where is the junk displayed? Yeah, Akhil, are you there? I think you have answered it, right? ME20B016. Okay, anybody else wants to answer that? What will happen? So let's say I am entering these marks. I enter a number 23. So what do you expect the program to do? Okay, code just skips the element. That is not true, right? It is going to it. So the way it is doing it is taking marks count, going to this index which is 23, and then doing a plus plus. So it says marks count is this array, go to the index number 23 of that and whatever is the value inside that, increment that. So it doesn't skip it for sure. Okay, program stops. What does it mean, Ashwin? Akhil, you can try running it once. Sure, we will also run it. So I hope you people are answering my question, because it says Darshan says it will go to index number 2. I don't know what is index number 2. No, it won't go to index number 2. 23 will be interpreted as 23. It won't go to index number 2. Sorry. We will get some junk value, Upendra. So where will we get the junk value?
Audible?
So Upendra, you are there, right?
I'm audible?
The question is, you have written, so we get some junk value. Where do you get the junk value? I mean, we could hear that you are speaking, Upendra, but you are not audible. Your answer is not audible. If possible, please type out your answer. So the question is, where do you get a junk value? At the index 23. But at the index 23, we are, so first of all, after all of this, we are going to print out the, for I is equal to 1 to, for I is equal to 0 to 20, we should print out marks count of current marks, right? That is what we will do to print out the frequency. But then what I'm asking is what happens when we try to enter 23 here? How does it behave? Okay, size of array gets increased to 23. No. These things don't happen. So size of array won't get increased to 23 just because you try to access the index 23. So we will see the behavior. So let me just state state things about this. So there is a problem with this program that there is no initialization of marks count. So that I have already agreed. And this should be initialized in this line or using a loop here which runs from 0 to 20 and it initializes marks count all of it to 0. So this is something that I have agreed, but what we are discussing right now is what if the user enters marks which are outside the range, a negative integer or a mark which is greater than 23. So Prithvi has said that we'll be modifying some value which is outside the reserved memory, may result in other errors that if that memory is allocated. Yes, so it is likely, very likely that you will get what is called as a segmentation fault, which is accessing memory which has not been allocated to you, and that will be manifested as a segmentation fault core dump. We will try out this program and do make sure that we enter a value which is outside the range and then see what happens. Okay, so any other questions here? So this sentence, right, this line 11 is overloaded. It says marks count of current marks is equal to marks count of current marks plus 1. And this is what is this statement. It is overloaded, but this is a correct statement. There's nothing wrong, but it is, I mean, it overloaded in the sense it is written in the succinct manner. Okay, any questions here? So what I have done, I mean, with our discussion that we have, somebody else had also pointed out in the chat that maybe we should just check out that our marks that the user is entering are within the range that we want. So if current marks is greater than equal to 0 and it is less than the max marks that we have agreed to, which is this, then only then we should be accessing the array marks count with that index and then incrementing the appropriate values. Otherwise, we should skip that value, right? So if you write this statement, just a minute, let me finish. If you write this statement, if statement, only then it is going to skip marks which are outside the range. Okay. Yes, Hari, you had a question. Just excuse me for a minute.
Ma'am, in the previous thing for count of 10, ma'am,
Sorry?
initially, ma'am, in the previous code, ma'am, you had given count of 10, ma'am. You had given it count of 10 equal to 0, ma'am.
Okay, count. So Harish, just hold on. So is this the slide or even prior to this? Harish, you were asking a question?
Not this one. Not this
Okay,
one, ma'am.
even prior, okay. Yes. So here.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, here you said that count of 1 will be implicitly initialized as 0, ma'am. So similarly, why can't all the variables in the marks underscore count be implicitly initialized as 0?
But they are not. In C, you should not rely on these things that they happen. That doesn't happen. That is what I'm telling. It doesn't happen that it is initialized to 0. It may happen. If you are lucky, it will be initialized to 0, but you cannot rely that they are initialized to 0 in C.
Okay, thank you.
Right. So here, note that we are explicitly giving an initialization, but we are giving fewer number of initialization elements than 10. That is why this is initialized to 0. That is again, it's a bad thing to rely on. It happens in C. I'm just telling you, but it is not something that you should rely on. The best way is to use a loop explicitly to initialize the elements of an array. Right? So we should not rely on these things that, okay, implicitly it is going to get initialized. I'm just mentioning that this happens if you write an initialization which has, because this is a natural question. If I have an array with 10 elements and I just initialize 5 of them, what happens to the remaining ones? With this initialization like this, right? That is why I mentioned this. It is also, I mean, it is one of the things that typical textbooks will mention. So for completeness, I mentioned it, but the correct way, or at least the good programming practice would be just to use a loop and initialize it. Assuming that it is an array, which is a large sized array. Again, you'll use arrays when you require large number of variables of the same type. If you have 2 variables, you won't use an array. Most likely, again. So what we have done in our corrected program, if you see, I have used a loop to initialize the elements of the array. And because writing these 20 values explicitly or 21 values is not a nice thing for me to do. So I'm not going to do that. In fact, I'm going to write a loop which is of 3 lines and just initialize the marks count to be 0, right? Okay. Marks count of I to be 0. Yeah. Okay.
Ma'am, in this...
So just 1 second. So Harish, does it answer your question?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah. Go ahead, Ashwin, right?
Yes, ma'am. In this case, like the sum of the students won't be the max students, no? Like some of the students, if some by mistake they give out 23, that student will be skipped, right?
Yes, I agree that I agree that the sum of the marks count values of the 20 values need not be 184 or the num students. You will have to also store error cases and then report that also. Yeah, you are right. I mean, I have skipped that part, but at least this program will not have a segmentation fault. Whereas the other program will have a segmentation fault if there is a error in the input.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I agree with this. Yes. Okay. So any questions on this part of this program itself? Okay, so I again see some chat messages. I'll quickly look at it. If somebody has something, you can, yeah, so somebody has said if current marks is greater than 20, then you can, yeah, so yeah, so I do not know whether I minus has to be done because I don't know whether that entry is going to be corrected or not. That depends on, so you will have to keep asking the user, give 184 valid entries, only then my program will stop. Okay, if that is the expected behavior, you can do that. Okay, but you should not only check for greater than 20 marks, you should also check for less than 0 because there can be negative integers. I mean, assuming that all of these are integers, even if that assumption is there, you can also get negative integers, which will still lead to a segmentation fault. So you want both these conditions to be satisfied, that is current marks are greater than or equal to 0 and less than the max marks, less than or equal to the max marks. Okay, so assuming that you all agree with this program, what I am going to do is actually print the histogram, which will be not only of the programming interest to you, but also for the interest of how does the histogram look like. So let's go to repl.it. Okay, so yeah. Kaushal, please tell me whether you can see my repl.it.
Yes,
yeah. So what I have done is this is the file which contains, it is anonymized. Don't worry, there is no roll number to marks mapping. But this is so why does it contain 185 entries? I don't know. So okay, so I don't know why it contains 185. It should have contained 184 entries, but nevertheless, I think there may be one something which has come out of. But these are the true marks of the students of your class. Of course, they are rounded to integer values. You have got marks which are fractional, but these are rounded to integer values. So why I have stored them is so that I cannot hope to enter 184 marks in front of you and get anything done here. But what we will see is this is the exact same program that we have seen on the slide. The max marks are 20. The number of students is 184. One more thing that you should observe here is that this max marks and num students is repeatedly used throughout the program, and it is best to write them as variables and not use them as constants into the program, because let's say your max marks change or the number of students change, or suppose I have to do it for all CS 1100 sections, all the 5 sections that we have, then all these things are going to change, but the program is not going to change. These things, the max marks may change. In fact, they also may be having a 20-mark test, so that doesn't change. But 184 is clearly going to change, and I don't have to go at places and change the 184 at different places and forget one of them or worry about forgetting one of them. So this is something which is good programming practice. So this is the loop which is initializing the marks count. We are not storing the actual marks of the students in any array. We are just taking them from the user. I'm going to omit this printf statement because I'm not even going to enter it manually. I'm going to do something which is called as input redirection, which we have seen earlier also. And then this is the same line that I have. And finally, this is something which is for outputting. That is, I'm going to print out the frequency, but instead of printing it out as just a mere number, I'm also going to print it out as stars so that you can actually see a histogram. It will be slightly inverted, but nevertheless, you will see the histogram. So if you see, I have used this width parameters 2D here and so on to make the output look nicer. So let's run the program. So first, let me just compile this program. It is called as histo.c, and yeah. So while we are here, and I have just the same a.out, I'll just run the old a.out. Okay, so sorry, this is not in. I'm not in the correct directory. So here, if I type out a.out, I want you to observe that this is the same old program which was printing integer in the arrays of the addresses of the array elements, but the actual addresses are different, which I had pointed out in the class a few minutes ago. So that is something that I want you to observe. Of course, that 40 and 0 will not change. Okay, so coming to this histogram program, I'm going to compile the histo.c, and apart from the standard error that I do not have a return 0, it does compile well. And now what I'm going to do is, if I run a.out, it is going to ask me to enter these marks 10, 20, 17, not so many. It is going to ask me to enter 184 marks. Let me just enter a sample mark, which is 23. And okay, so I don't know what the program has done here. Still reading. It should have given a sec fault, but okay. So I don't know why it is not giving a sec fault. We'll come to it. But let's run the program with. Okay, so just give me a minute. Histo.c and /a.out, and I'm going to do this input redirection where I have stored all marks.txt. These should contain 184, but it contains one extra entry. I don't know from where it comes. And if you see, it prints out from 1 to 20. In fact, I should print out from 0 to 20, but at 0 there is nobody. So in fact till 0 to 4 there is nobody, and then from 5 there are some students. We hope that all of these students actually move to the downward part of this thing, and then you see that the maximum number of students have the maximum that's the frequency is at 17, where 30 students have obtained this. And if you see these stars, and if you just imagine this, then it is in fact the histogram that you would have liked to see on in this way. So we are almost there, that whatever Google Sheets or something which will allow me to do and print out this histogram, we have done it using our very simple C program and using arrays. So I can also print the 0 value, but that is something that is something that I have avoided, but that's okay. So any questions or comments here? Of course, in the same program, you can compute the average, the standard deviation, and so on. I have not done them, but for doing those, you don't require arrays at all. You can do them without even having arrays. So that is something that is not illustrating what we want to teach in the class. You will want to know the average. I'll surely send it out once our regrading requests are done. So Okay. So yeah. Okay. So thank you for pointing it out. In fact, I have this check of if the current marks is greater than 0 and it is greater than equal to 0, and that is why it was not giving me a sec fault. So thank you to the student who has pointed this out to me. So the student has suggested, can you run the program without this check being done? Sure, we should do that, and then we will see that it will actually sec fault. Yeah, so I was wondering why it is not giving a sec fault. Thank you for whoever pointed it out. So histo.c and okay, so I don't know, it's still not giving this thing.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, Kaushal.
We couldn't hear you for the last 15 to 20 seconds.
Oh, now you are able to hear me?
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Okay, but I don't know, I didn't speak as well. I am just saying that I do not know that why this program is still not giving a sec fault, although we are trying to access elements which are outside. So I'll check this out, but thank you for this suggestion, whoever has given that I had in fact this check, so it wouldn't give with this check. There was another, no, I did compile the program. I think I did. I'll still check. Yeah, so I will check this and get back to you. I don't know why it is not giving a sec fault, which should ideally be giving. But there was one more question. So at the moment, we'll bring back this check, which is if this thing then increment the count. But okay, so there was one more question which was there. Yeah, so in the input file, there were a couple of zeros. Why not showing? Actually, yeah, so maybe there are zeros. I don't know. Are there zeros in the input file? Okay, so there are zeros because there are absentees. Yeah, you're right. But why it is not printing for zeros is because I have printed this loop from 1 to max marks. I can easily change it to 0 to max marks and it will print it. So that is not a problem. In fact, our array size is from 0 to max marks plus 1. So if we run this, if we compile this, we will get it for the value 0 as well. So that we can do easily. Yeah. Okay. So in fact, yeah, you're right. There were a couple of people who were absent because they did not give the exam. And thank you for telling me that there are 9 people. But yes, so there are in fact 9 people who either did not give the exam, they had to miss it due to some reasons, and therefore they have scored zeros. So this is the number, and then there are these remaining people. Yeah, so this is what I wanted to show you. When we come back to tomorrow's class, we'll look at the second example where we will do the evaluation of the polynomial. We are already out of time for the class. I'll stop the class now, and if there are questions, I'll take them.